Okay. המצווה 2:70 הוא שיש הלויים מתעסק בדובר מן העבודות המיוחדות לכהנים, not do avoidance which only Kohanim do, והכהנים גם כן מתעסק בדובר מהעבודות המיוחדות ללוויים. So the Kohanim should not do avoidance ללוויים, ללוויים should not be avoidance כאן. וזה כי שתי אלו משפחות, now we pointed out that כאילו the two separate משפחות, כלומר הכהנים והלוויים, וכל משפחה מהן עבודה מיוחדת לא במקדש. Oh, so much arichus, but okay. בו הזהור ממנו יסעלה לשניהם יחד שלא לעבוד אחד מהם בעבודת האחר, אלא כל כת מהם כמו שנצטבסו, כמו שאומר איש על עבודתו ועל מעשו. Okay, so he's talking about a lav, and he only mentions the pasuk, which says that everyone has to do their own avodah, but the lav he hasn't mentioned yet. Well, lav shabo is going to mention it after. But what's very important over here is he learns ish al avodas al maso refers to both Kohanim and Levim, which is not clear at all. And we'll see, Metz Hashem. However, the Pshuto, this pasuk is only referring to Levim, not to Avodas Kohanim, and the Orchaim HaKodesh clearly says that in his Pirush HaTorah, and the Ram seems to learn like that in Mishnah Torah, because Hilchos Klei HaMikdash, Ve'oivdim Boi, Perigim HaLochetes, Shmuel HaRoyeh, V'Dovid HaMelech, Chok HaLavim, V'Yarbo V'Yesrim Mishmoros, Roshi HaOvois, Mechalkim, Elu Avodas B'Yoim B'chuli B'chuli. Shenema, Mechalkis Elu Oivdim B'Yoim Shelohen, Ish Al Avoidosai, which L'cheira is referring to the pasuk, this pasuk. And he's saying it's referring to Levim. And therefore, which is not negay now, but just keep this in mind, you can learn that the Isa of Levi, of Avodas Chaveiroi, can do this pasuk also. And that's the Ram does in Mishnah Torah, Perigim Alocha Yud. V'chein Levim atzmo musharim shelo yaseh echad melechas chaver v'lo yisayeh m'shoyer l'shoyer v'lo shoyer l'mishoyer shenema ish al avodaso v'al maso. Okay, so that's good. Mishnah Torah, the pasuk refers to Levim, and here it's both Kohanim and Levim. V'alav shebo bohem hu amor yis'aleh b'Levim ach el klei hakodesh v'el HaMizbeach lo yikubu. However, the lav is said by Levim. V'alav shebo bohem hu amor yis'aleh b'Levim. Okay, v'achrei kein shov v'diba l'kohanim v'yomo v'lo yamusu gam heim gam atem. So the heim, what's the lema? Shegam what's the lema? B'zeh she'atem gam kein kemoihem. That the Kohanim are like the Levim. Sha'atem, that's the Sha'atem gam kein kemohem. That's Atem is the Kohanim, and that's who he's speaking to. Ki kamo she'isiru me'asois avodosom v'hu klei hamikdash ha'mizbeach. Cain, the same way that the Levi is enjoined from the avoidance with the klei hamikdash and the mizbeach, the Kohanim, Cain atem musharim me'asois avoidosam the avodas haLevim. Loshin sifri ach el klei hakodesh ha'mizbeach lo yikubu ashor v'lo yomusu oynish. Ainly al Levim shanushim musharim al avodas Kohanim. Kohanim al avodas haLevim minayin Exactly what the Ram said. Me'avoida lechavito, tamaloima gam heim. We don't know what the avoda kavita is exactly. And we'll see that it's Levi and avodas chaveiro, not kohen avodas chaveiro. But that's not the moment now, but we'll see in Mitzvah. What's important over here is a very interesting thing that the Isa of avodas Levi, the Isa of Levi and avodas kohanim is because of this love. L'boinei shalom, the Levi is the Chazar, because the Ram defines Zar in the next mitzvah. Zayin Vav, whatever it is called Misha Zer Aaron. It could be any Zer Aaron, and the Levi is also not Zer Aaron. So what do you need? It's a separate lab and a separate chimis of the Shamayim in Levi and avodas kohanim. It's a Zar. You don't need it. It's not any more than anyone else. So, the Rambam here, when he talks about the Chiyuv Misa, he's not machalik in any of the avodas. Means any avoda, which is avodas kohen, which a Levi does, he's Chiyuv Misa. Whereas in Zah, the Ram clearly in the lav of Zah is machalik that only avodas tam, only avodas tama. That the Gemara avoda there's a Chiyuv Misa, but in Shara avoda is only an ashara. In here, the Ram is not machalik. So the Chayyim should conclude from this that the Chiyuv Levi and avodas kohen is hein ba'avodas tama, ve'hein ba'avodas she'eno tama, and oibazera boisai. That's what this chadishness lab. There's a chiyuv misa le'shamayim and avodas Levi even in avodas she'eno tama. So it's a very strange thing. If a Yisrael does a Zar push at Yisrael does avodas she'eno tama, he's not chayiv misa, and the Levi is chayiv misa. And the Mitvzs concludes like this also. He says, what do you need a separate lab for Levi? This question, hello Levi, who's out? So Mitvzs Mitzvah Peites, Ach Achiluk di Yisrael Oived ba'avodas kohen Eino Chayiv Misa L'Shamayim Rak ba'avodas Tamo. As opposed to this, as opposed to Levi over here, that the Levi's Chayiv. Okay. So here, the Rambam, here we're learning the Chiyuv of Levi avodas chaveiro from Gamatem, and in Mishnah Torah he learns it from the pasuk of avodas of El Maso. If you remember, I mentioned before. Ish avodas El Maso, which was, as we said, was in Levium Bedavka. So then we understand, according to the Ram Mishnah Torah, why the Isa of avodas Levium is only only the avodas Chaveru is only by Levium, not by Kohanim. In Hilchos Klei HaMikdash, V'Oivnei Boy, he says in Perigimel Ochiyud, V'chein Levium Atzmo Musharim Shelo Yaseh Echol Meleches Chaveroi. Shall Isaiah Mishoyer L'Shoyer 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 Shnemo Ish Al Avodas El Maso. He doesn't mention Kohanim. Now, So the question is, why is this lav dafka by Levi about this chaveru, not by Kohen about this chaveru? So what's said, and we'll see about this, and we'll see who says and how they say it, is that in Levi there's a din minui, din miyuchad of minui al avodas levim, and there's no din minui by avodas kohanim. And the chiyuv of avodas chaveroi is doing an avodah which you have no minui for. You have a different minui. You're mamuna on this avodah, this mamuna on that avodah. You change your minui. So the chiyuv of avodas chaveroi is only by the vim. But for kohanim, there's no minui le'avodah. And since there's no minui le'avodah, there's no hechetimso mitzvs of avodas chaveroi, because everyone can be oved, any avodah. It's only avodas chaveroi because you have avodah X and he has avodah Y, and you take the avodah Y instead of avodah X. And therefore, what's learned in the Biskarov in Chumash, we'll see, Biskarov says that the din of payis has nothing to do with minui because the zocha, because basically everyone can do the avodah, and through the payis, he's the one that does the avodah. It's schiyah, but it's not a minui. And therefore, it's really not avodas chaveroi. So the whole idea doesn't apply to kohanim. The Biskarov discussed this beyond. If you look read it through, I mean, it's just and he discusses it Baruka in Chedushei Mo and Riz Halevi al Torah in Pashas Bamidbar Divrei Maschil es Aaron v'es Bonov Tifkei v'Shamru es Kuhunosam. And you find similarly, and you can look this also yourself, in Lekutei Halachos in Meseches Tamid, Tesvav Omid Beis, Divrei Maschil is. Okay? And I remember my Rebbe had this idea also when we were learning Chulin at the end of the first parak, and he talked about that there's a din minui avodas levim. And Biskarov says, oh, that's the posik, pshat and posik, ishis avodas v'al masol. So according to him, the way he's learning Chumash, this posik could only be said by levim, not the way he's doing it over here in Sefer HaMitzvos. And however, in Sefer Chinuch, in Mitzvah Shin Pei Tes, he is of the opinion that avodas chaveroi was said also in Kohanim. You don't find in Rambam, but the Chinuch says. He says, "Umin adoime ki hakohen shesiya b'meleches chaveroi, meleches chaveroi hakohen gam kein b'misa v'chein mefurish b'sifrei zuta." And it's also gam kein b'mita, and it's b'sifrei zuta atem. Uminayin zifuzuta in Bamidbar Yudches Gimel uminayin kederch shakohanim musharim ze al yidei ze kach levim musharim ze al yidei ze amut heim gam heim atem gam atem. So it's mashma even more that minayin shekederch shakohanim musharim ze al yidei ze. So it's mashma that the portion Kohanim and the Chiddush is Levim, just the opposite. So l'cheira, you could begin to understand the Sifrei Zuta according to the Rambam here, that ish Ish al avodas maso applies to Kohanim also. And since the pasuk about minui, so the minui about Kohanim also according to Sefer Zuta. But in Mishnah Torah, it's certainly not like that. We have no idea of how they're going to interpret the Sefer Zuta. I think the Kovetz Shurim of Gusman and Yevomis Kunchus Test Shiur Gimel, or Shiur Gimel has a different approach. So let's go on. Now, Ukvar Bikesh Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananya L'Sayeya es Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoido. Omar lo Chazor Rabbi Yeshua Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoido said Rabbi Yeshua Chazor le'achrecha shekvar ato mischaye benafshcho. If you be mischaye, you be chaye misa. Shani min hashorim v'ato min hamishorim. So let's just go slowly. Let's start slowly here, okay? Halavim, if they do avodas kohanim, they chayiv misa, and kohanim. One second. Let's just go to the Masad. Hine kva hizboy lecho ki kol Levi shi'avoy b'mikdash zulas avodos mucheres loy chayiv misa shamayim. V'chein kohanim lo yit'asku b'avodas halavim. Avol imovu einam chayiv misa el malchus. Okay. So what I'd like to do here is like this. There's a very strange lashon here. Before we get to the difference between Kohen and Levi, and where there's a chiyuv misa, when there isn't a chiyuv misa, why it's so, and how it fits in, what's going on. That's a different issue. Let's just go slowly, okay? There's a very strange thing here. It says, Pashas, it says, Sherotza bikesh Rabbi Yeshua ben Hananya l'sayeya es Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudgoido. So the pashtus you get over here is that for siyur there's a chiyuv misa l'shamayim. Chazor me'achrecha shekvar is chiyuv misa l'shamayim. This is a mamish apella. Look, Messiah is anybody mamish. You call it to a cool. It's nothing. Chiyuv misa l'shamayim. So there are achronim. Let's say it's lav dafka, and since Messiah ain't by mamish, this is also not really Messiah. Just use the word, it's really not true. However, in Pashas is not like that. The Pashas Sifri is a chibi shamayim, even Messiah in general ain't by mamish. So maybe the pshat is that doing not according to your minui, even though it's not a ma'is avodah, you also chayiv. And therefore it's not doesn't do with the question of Messiah but Mamis. The sugi Messiah but Mamis is did Maisa. And here you don't need a Maisa, it's just that he's not doing it, he's against his minui. The Radvaz also agrees with this approach that Messiah is chayiv. In Shas Tshuvas Radvaz, however, he has a different idea. The Abai Siri, the Afilu Messiah, Mamish Chayiv Misa, the Seif Avoidehi. Seif Avoidehi, I don't know what that means exactly. Uksiv Ish al Avoidosol ve'al Masol. V'achinu lefnei HaMishkan kemo lefnei Oel Moed. Hazo HaKorov Yumos. My Zar, Shema Zar Mamish, Hoksiv Chad Zimno, Elolav Zar, the Eisa Avoid of Ainu, the Sasal Abenu, Vohochi Mashmo Pashta Dach Michu. Okay, Beseda. So he's learning Isha. I'm not sure if it's the second time the Isha Avoidoso, the Al Maso, is good for this shtickle Torah, that it's a question about Minui. You have to know, but he learns clearly that Messiah is Chayiv. Now, let's go back to the fact that only Leviim are Chayiv Misa Shemayim and Kohanim are not. So this is Mamash Apella. And it's Machuz Yishenim. And Hukus Klei HaMikdash V'oivdim B'ay Per Gimel Ochir Aleph Leviim she'avdu avodas kohanim, o she'sia Levi b'meleches she'eno melachtoi chayom misei shamayim she'nemo v'lo yamusa. Avol kohen she'avad avodas Levi enoi b'misa elo b'loisas. So along comes the Ravid. Avol kohen she'avad avodas Levi o ma'avrom v'lo kvar nema v'lo yamusa gam heim gam atem u'b'sifri nami hochi dorish leili oilish l'asol and gam heim gam atem. The pasuk says there's an equation, so it's mamish like the kilu akash shenal of tshuva. And the emes is the Ravid is supported by the Gemara in Eichin. Because Gemara in Eichin and Yudalf Mebeis, Rabbi Yechon and Oma Mehocho, V'lo Yamusa Gam Heim Gam Atem. Ma atem ba'avodas mizbeach, af heim ba'avodas mizbeach, hayna mihochi, v'lo yamusu gam heim gam atem mishalahem heim b'shalachem v'misa heim b'shalahem eina b'misa ela b'ashol. So comes that's the chol with the Rambam. Om Abaye naktilu mishoira sheshua b'shel chaveyo v'misa shenema b'choinu l'bishkol yumus. Ma zar ilay mizar mamish hoksi v'chadezimo elolav. Zar avoid. And the Gemara continues, not like the Rambam, but the question is what exactly happened. So Achreinim say, this is Abai, you have to see exactly how it all works out. Achreinim say, Gam Heim Gam Atem, so the Ravid is correct. That the Rambam is bad, the Biskurov in the Shum and Eichin there, they have an also on the Rambam, on that Rambam there, the Sifri, they say the Sifri Zuta is Mavur like the Rambam. That the Chiyuv Misa b'nei Shamayim, b'koyin, ba'avodas Levi, it's very strange, there is a Chiyuv Misa b'Shamayim in koyin ba'avodas Levi. But that Chiyuv Misa Shemayim is only a Rosh Shah, Bizman HaMishkan. And not L'Doros. And that's what the Gemara says, the Chiyuv Misa Shemayim, B'Koyim B'Avodas Levi, it's only in Mishkan. And the Sefer says the Mefurish. In Bamidbo Yudches Gimel, Rabbi Shimon Oimer, Gershon Morori B'Avodas Kohos, B'Misa. So b'misa. B'amadvur memuim b'avodas hamishkan. B'avodas beis Elokim haLevim al kohanim b'misa. If Levim do over this kohanim b'misa, ve'ena kohanim al Levim, and here it says the afloi, or it should be the Maisi is in the magia that it should be elo b'loi sasis. Foolish in Sifri Zuta, like the Rambam, that only Levi and avodas chavera or avodas kohanim is chayim misa, but kohen ba'avodas Levi is only beloisis. It was only mishkan. So the question is this l'chayre is, it's almost absurd, because Truto Shomikra, Gam Heim, Gam Atem, the Raivis Kash is unbelievable. So I think what happened over here is that the Sifri Zuta is a Pirush Mekubal, and the Pshuta Shomikra is only Harashah, and the Pshuta Shomikra is the Chiv Misa Shemayim, even Kohen Bavodas Levi. But comes the Pirush Mekubal, and that's the Sifri Zuta, and says Kohen Bavodas Levi, L'Deirais is not a Chiv Misa Shemayim. And we found, according to the Rambam, similar to this, just the opposite, in Mitzvah Seichof, the Pshuta Shomikra of Mizbach Adom Taseli, he says Zaboma. And the Pirush Mekubal says Mizbach Adom Taseli is the Tzivul L'Deirais, that the Mizbeach should be Mekubal account. So it's an amazing thing that the Pshuta Shomikra here, the Loashah, and the Deirais, it's only a Levi above this coin and not Kohen above this Levi. And that's Abaye, and it's also there's a Chiv Misa in Levi and Avodas Chavera. And the Gemara in Yoraf Mebeis Om Abaye Natiran B'Sheira Sheshia B'Shel Chavera B'Misa Shenem Avchonim Lifnei Hamishkon Kemo Lifnei Ol Moyed Vazar Kol Yumos Maizar Limazamamish Simchadizimah Elazali Esavuda. And a Zali Esavuda is the way the Biskov learns Zaminu. Is a Zali Esavuda. The Smag concludes that the Gemara is Doichet Divrei Abaye, and that's the questions before. And Sefer HaMitzvos, the Smag, Om Abaye Naktina B'Shor Sheshir B'Shir is B'Shel Chaveira B'Misa Shenema V'Choyner V'Chulei Meisvei B'Shor Sheshir V'Chulei Eino Elo B'Azhola Umetaretz Tanoihi V'Doiche Shom B'Dilma B'Kuli Alma B'Azhola B'Doime Shenitchu Shom Divrei Abaye Me'ach Sheno Metaretz Klum Rabbeinu Moshe Kosav Kabaye V'Oi Kosav Shekoyin She'oived Avodas Levi Eino B'Misa Elo B'Loi Saseh Ki Braisa Acheres Asher Shom. So the Smag is against Abaye. He says we don't look like Abaye. There's no chiyuv of avodas chaveira. Okay, so let's just go what we have. There's one issue where the kohen ba'avodas Levi is a chi misle shamayim or not, and that the Ram is machriach to sefizuta. And there's another issue of whether halacha l'maisa we paskin the Levi avodas chaveiro. And this is the issue between the Smag and the Rambam, and the issue of Kohen ba'avodas Levi is an issue of the Rambam and the Ravid. Now next. Now, over Mechilta, El Klei HaKodesh ve'el HaMizbeach lo yikuvu, Yochol im nogu yiu chayovim, Mechilta, which means the Sefer Zuta, some Ram does call the Sefer Zuta Mechilta many times. Mechilta El Kli HaKodesh V'el HaMizbeach Lo Yikuvu Yochol Im Nogu Yiu Chayovim Tamaloi Ma'ach Mishum Avoida Heim Chayovim or Mishum Negia V'lo Mishum Negia Ein Li El HaLevim Ha'idei Kohanim Kohanim Ha'idei Levim Minayin Tamaloi Ma Gam Atem B'shom Omru HaLevim Al Shel Kohanim B'misa V'ein Kohanim Al Shel Levim El B'loisase. And this is what I spoke about before. And this is the Sifri Zuta, and that's why they changed the gears of the Sifri Zuta, and they say, even though by us, I will B'avodas based on Lokim, Al Levim, Al Kohanim B'misa, V'ein Kohanim Al Levim, which it says Ve'af loy, it should mean Ella loisas. Now, the Osameach also says that this is the gears of the Ram Mizuta. The Osameach in the Mikdash Gimel Achiyar Aleph, Lukuti Alochas and Tomid, in Zevach Toida, Diva Maskol Atem B'Shelohem, the Ambu de Sifrik, in Koirach, Yudches, Sifkot Yudalit, and Reb Dovid, Nishum, and Erchen also, everyone says B'Shem the Gris, that this is the Gilsa. Okay, now, try to get the next one also. HaMitzvos HaSholosh V'Shivim Hu Shisiu Mikonis LeMikdash. So Ram says there's a law of Knisa LeMikdash in Hu Shisiu LeMikdash O Laheres B'Dova Medini Atera B'Yoisenu Shikorim. So there's an Isa of Knisa LeMikdash by Shikor and the Isa Hira. Now, Knisa LeMikdash is very interesting. The Rambam assumes like that. The Ravid, the Ramban clearly says, and it's the Mishnah in Kalim, Perek Aleph Mishnah Tes, Omer B'Yosef B'Chamisha Dvorim Bein Ulam Mizbeach Shova Lehecho She'ein Ba'alei Mumen U'Pli Loish Yisui Yayin. Now Sogas Ramban disagrees and holds that the Isa Knisa is only a Ma'ila D'Rabbanon, and the Ravid on the Sifra also learns like that. We'll see later, Mir Hashem. I hope we get to it. In Teres Kwan. Okay. The machlekes depends upon two gisos in the nusach of the Braisa. If the chiyuv is because of Knisa, or in Nazir, on Dalit Amar Aleph, this is the Sanya, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ochal Dvela Kilis, V'shasa Dvash V'cholav, V'nichnas L'mikdash Chayiv. It's Nichnas, it doesn't say Ovad, and also in Yuma is like that. But in Krisus, in your Gimel Beis, the Sanya Ochal Dvela Kilis, V'shasa Dvash V'cholav, V'nichnas L'mikdash V'shimesh, like it. So it's only Vishimesh. By Nichnas by itself is nothing. So these two Gisos, the Rambam and the Raiv and the Ramban. Okay, now, so what happens over here? Vu Amar Yis'ale Yayin V'Sheicha Al Tishtu B'Vochem El Moed Ulaheres as Bnei Yisrael. So reading this, you get the impression, oh, that's the pasuk. But l'chera, what happened over here is there's a whole pasuk over here that's missing. It's Yayin V'Sheicha Al Teish B'Vochem El Moed, and there's Olahavdil Bein Tom Torah V'Chulei, and then it says Ulaheres as Bnei Yisrael. So Ram learned, and that's the Ram Nusach of the Lab over here. Hishis Hilnu Meikonis LeMikdash Ulaheres B'Dover B'Dini Torah Shikolim. So the Lav goes both on Al Teish B'Voachem. You shouldn't be Shusuy Yayin when you come into the Mikdash, and you shouldn't be Shusuy Yayin when you're a Meireh. Now, the pasuk goes like this: Yayin v'sheich al teish, atu v'necho itcha b'vochem el omoyed, v'lei samus v'chosel medorisechem, u'lahavdil bein hakodesh v'bein hachoil, u'bein hatomi v'bein hator. So if the kodesh and chol and tomi and tor, u'lahiris is b'nei Yisrael, es kol chukim asher diber Hashem aleihem biyad Moshe. And the Ram leaves out the pasuk u'lahavdil. And Minyan HaKotze, at least it's clear that the two different psukim. In Lois Sayin Gimel, Shalo Yikonis LeMikdash, V'lo Yoyre B'Teira, Shesui Yayin, Shenemar, Yayin V'Sheich Al Teish, B'Voachem, V'Chulei, U'Laheres Es B'nei Yisrael. I think there might be a gifts also, the B'Nema, I'm not saying, you have to check that out. It's not going to give that much to us. Okay. However, okay, so that's good. So the shilta is l'chera is the source of the Rambam that you make ulahiris into a lav. The shilta is Rav Achoy in Pasha Shmini, shilta pei aleph, shilta the also lahim to the base Yisrael or uye halocha the mishre lemesa ulitmuye ulidchuye to metame or to metaye kidishose chamra when he drank wine kishir the meshakesh and emo yain v'sheish al teish uksiv basrei la'avde ben hakodesh ben hachoil uksiv basrei lohiris as bnei Yisrael. So the mokah to make this into a lav is the shiltais. And the next point is also that even though it's an infinitive could be a tzivui as far as a mitzvah mitzvahs. Lahiris. It's an infinitive. It's not a command, but I guess that you could assume a command from an infinitive, and we find similar to this. We found already in mitzvah say hey, the mitzvah tefillah. He should zivonu la'avda yis'aleh u'kvat nichpal tzivui zeh pam popomim omar v'vavartem es Hashem Elokeichem v'omar v'oisei tavoidu v'omar v'oisei tavoid v'omar u'le'ovdoi, which is an infinitive. An infinitive could be a mitzvah. Now, just before, We'll get back to this problem that the Ram leaves out the pasuk and what's going on, but just a simple point over here. It's very clear in the Ram over here and in the Minyan HaKotzer that there's in the law, there are two things in the Etzem Nusach HaMitzvah. The law of Knisa, Bia, and the law of Hoyrah Shikul. However, it's interesting, in the Protei Mitzvos, the Ram says in Hilchos Bias HaMikdash, Shali Kones Kohen Shikul HaMikdash, and he leaves out Hoyrah. And in Hilchos, and in the Halachos, it doesn't say mefurish that there's an ashara for a Hoyrah b'yayin. He just says in Perek Aleph Halacha Gimel, ukishem she'osa l'koyen lihikones l'mikdash mipnei hashikros kach osa l'chol adam ben koyen ben Yisrael l'hoyres kushushos. He always says kishem and kach. Maybe it means a lot, maybe it doesn't mean a lot. I can't say one way or the other, but Leif Sameach is noikate that the Rambam in Mishnah Torah is chozer, and the Lav is the only ashara is only on beer, not on Hoyrah. The Ramban in Hasogis says there is a deraisa as far as Hoyrah, but it's not a Lav, it's only Nisasei. The Ramban Hasogis v'aldaiti oid chachomim v'hoyrasum einam belav elabasei shetziva kosov achrei azarasei min hayayin b'voyim el moed uleheres es b'nei Yisrael es kol hachukim v'loi b'yosim shikurim v'lav habo mechlal asei asei uleheres. See here, I'm not exactly sure what the reason of the Ramban is, why he disagrees with the Ram, or what the Ram might be saying in Mishnah Torah. Is it because you just can't, it doesn't reach straight? Let's just see, it says over here. Yain v'sheich al teisht, atu v'necha v'voyecho, v'voyechem el oil moed. So al teisht means you should not be shosui when you come in. Ulahavdil ben HaKodesh v'necho, ulahiris es b'nei Yisrael. V'chol asher diba Hashem b'yad Moshe. So you can read the al teisht. You can't, the pasuk doesn't read straight because the al mistaba doesn't go on lahir. How do you read al teisht? It says not lahiris. Or you can say the problem is because of infinitive. Or you can say that in this case the lav going on infinitive doesn't make any sense. Whatever it is, the Ramban says that it's only an isaseh. Now let's go back to the original problem. The Rambam leaves out the pasuk ulahavdil, and you shouldn't say that he doesn't have to talk about it, because he says over here that olaheres b'dover midine hatera. So it means anything, any heros, will say anything, nothing mufarid. So he just quotes laheres and everything's finished. So I think you certainly can't say that. That I think is that those things mentioned in pasuk tes are not herah, because the more increases you give them a base. Tanah Ulahavdil ben HaKodesh ben HaChol, Elu domin ve'erchin, choromim ve'ekdeshes, בין התום ובין התור, אלו תומס ותיירוס. להורות זו הוראה, אז כל החוקים אלו מדרושי, זה אשר דיבר השם, זו הלכה, ביד מוישה זה תלמוד. יוכל אף המשנה, תלמוד ולהורות. יסי רבי יהודה אומר, יוכל אף התלמוד, תלמוד ולהורות. So Rashi says, להבדיל, יין ושכר, על תש ובוכם על מועד, ולהבדיל, ובוכם, להבדיל, בין הקודש והחול, נמי על תש יין ושכר. Here is mashma that there's a law. The Maskell, which is like the Rambam here, certainly. But the Masadom and Be'elchin, Be'ekdeshes, Shasuim, Shesui Yayin, Loshum, Shuma, Oisan Lebailim, Liftoisim, the Dilma Loishaimiluhu Shapir. And the source of Rashi is the Tifra, and Shmini, Parsha Ali, Perek Beis, Alochates, Lahavdi Ben Akudim Ben Achol, Ben Atom Ben Ator, Elu Tmeis, Latairis, Lahiris. So this, you have to look at, I'm sorry, you should look at Teres Kohanim. I don't think I have the proper quote here. Okay? Whatever it is, the Hira, the Shum is not a Hira, it's just an evaluation. And the problem also is the Ram Mishnah Torah doesn't mention anything that is the problem of a shikah to be of Shum of Eichin and Domin. And the Ram also doesn't mention Tumah and Taira. So there is shtiklach, and I'm not getting involved in this. One question is they ask, Rebbeinu Shalom, what's going on with Eichin? Or before Eichin, what's going on in Tum and Taira? So what's the Hira? And the question is, they asked us the opposite. They asked us the opposite, that since Tum and Taira is also Hira, so we need a separate passing for. So they call from Chaim Kreisworth that it's talking about the Goyim, and the Kohen, the Kohen is the Chochem is the one who's Meire, and the Kohen is only says it says that it's Tomei, but it's not a Hira, because Tum and Taira is Tuya B'Kohen. But the Kohen does what the Chochem is Meire, and that's the Mishnah Goyim, Perek Gimel Mishnah Aleph. And the claim is that Piskarov accepted this as Pshat, and the Malbim also says like this in Pasha Shmini. But whatever it is, all this is, neither here nor there. Because is neither here nor there, because we don't understand the Rambam, what's going on. Now, the Rambam continues. He says, V'loshen HaTalmud, Shos Revi'is Yayin al Yeire. So al yere means that the Ram learns the lav. Al yere. And I guess it's a pirush makubal to learn that lahiris is a lav. Well, chen shos revius yayin is b'chal lav. But the pashas the Gemara that the Ram is quoting is not mashma like that, because there's a pirush makubal. Can you imagine a pirush makubal and Amori says on it, it's loy no, because that's what the Gemara says. The Gemara says, Amori says, the loy male shmaitita. In Mon Elvin, Samach Dalam and Aleph, Oma Yehuda, Oma Shmuel, Shos Revis Yayin Al Yere, Oma Rav Nachman, Loy Ma'alya, Ho Shmaitita. So I know, Kol Kama Dele Shesina, Revia Sa the Chamro, Lo Tzulidait Fakir. It makes me think better. So I think what's going on over here, the Rambam learns that everyone learns that there's a lav. The loinoi, and the loinoi is just the question is what's the case? Is it dafka where you're shika, or even if you drink a vias yayin? And that the person said, the pirush makubal, I assume, is that the pasuk is a lav. What makes you a shika, and how you become a shika? Yayin v'sheich al teish. That was the issue between them, and that's not a pirush makubal. That's what I would suggest. Now, it says over here, "V'zeh ki shesui yayin yefshel lahem likones beinu mizbeach im kol ha'hechol." The British mizbeach kol ha'hechol, and that l'chayre is taka the Mishnah in Kalim in Perek Aleph Haloch Mishnah Tes beinu mizbeach shova la'hechol she'ein ba'alei mumin. But there's a problem. The Mishnah itself is not a chiddush, because in the pasuk it says only oil moyed. It doesn't say bein oil mizbeach. Yain v'sheich al teish ato v'necha itcha b'voachem oil moyed. So how do you get bein oil mizbeach? So the makor for Rambam is the Chatois Kohanim in Sifro and Pasha Shmini, Pasha Aleph, Perek Aleph, Halocha Daled B'Bochem, Einli Ela B'Bia, Minayin Af Yitziyat HaMaloima Ata B'Necho, Minayin Lasois HaMizbeach Koil Moyed, HaMaloima Ata B'Necho. And similarly, also the Kesef Mishnah points this out in Hilchos B'Yis HaMikdash Perek Aleph Halocha Aleph. Now, here's something very interesting. It says, "V'im nichnas chayiv malchus, v'im ovad hu shesuye shosui chayiv misei shemayim." What the misei shemayim is only an avodah, but there's malchus in Kenisa. See here, question, how does this work? So remember, we used to say that the Rambam, the Lav, is an Isa Knisa, but Avoida is a Shum in the Knisa. So if he does a push at the Knisa, he's only Chayiv Malchus. And if he does the full Shiur of Knisa plus Avoida, he's Chayiv Misa. He's Chayiv Misa Shemayim, and therefore that's the hekesh, the Minayin Rabbis Yitzia Knisa, that the Chiyuv is not if Lamaisa is he shosui in the mikdash itself and he does avodah, he's only chayiv when he goes out, because the avodah itself is not mechayiv according to the Rambam. It's the avodah the avodah shum in the Knisa Yitzia. Now, there's one important issue over here. The question is, how, maybe not, we'll see. The question is, how do you how do you paskin over here? Because it's in Eilchin, there three sheetahs in Tanoim, excuse me, increases. The three sheetahs just trying to see it, and you gimel on my base. And the Tanakama, there's a Behuda and Rabbi Elazar. And Rav, Pasuk Rabbi Elazar. He says that it's a good shmaitata, whatever it is. And the Rashba, is asking on the Ram, how he does this and what the psak is. He does quote a shiltais and the Chuvas Rashba in Chelik Aleph Siman Shin Samach Gimel. He quotes a shiltais. The shiltais in Pei Aleph, in shiltai Pei Aleph, V'rom Tzoch Shar Meshakrim Miyislei Rabbi Elazar. You see, the machlekes is Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Elazar is Rabbi Yehuda's the shtickle Torah about Shar Meshakrim is only Belav and Yain is Misa. So the question is, what does Rabbi Elazar say? So the Shultis claims that Rabbi Elazar says that even Shar Meshakrim is Misa Shemayim. Umiriyoma Rav och Rabbi Yehuda Elazar v'yoma Ma'av och Tmo Mal Yoira Shma Mino Islay Shar Meshakrim Nami V'chin Hilchasa. So that is the Shultis. What the Rambam says, and here, and in Mishnah Torah, and he paskins that Shar Meshakrim is only a lav, and Tosfos seems to say like that in Ksuvos, that Shar Meshakrim asum and not Chai Misa, and you don't obeys. Divrei Amaskol Omarav Tosfos Ksuvos, because of and that's the way they paskin. They paskin that they paskin Rabbi Elazar and they paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. You see why? It's a problem. But Tosfos increases you give him a base says that the Isa of Shar Meshakrim, since we paskin Rabbi Elazar, Shar Meshakrim, it's only Rabbi Yehuda that says Shar Meshakrim also. We paskin it's only the Rabbon Shar Meshakrim. So comes the gain. Comes the going to be a grow in your day simulation basic Chavches. He suggests that since Rav and Rav is the one who passes Rabbi Eliezer, and Rav is the one that says Ochel Tmorim Al Yereh. Tosfos increases, says that they ask the kasha to Chastira. Rav passes Rabbi Eliezer. So the action because Kusha Tosfos if Riech Rambam Nisra Rabbi Yehuda after kind of was no steer because Rab passing like both. Then there's a price at the end. Shein el b'shas avoda v'shom omru minayin shechayiv el b'shas avoda. So I do the Rambam list minayin shechayiv el b'shas avoda or the chi misa shemayim. What's the ton you need avoda besides kedisa? Tamalei mata b'necha itcha v'voichem aloi moed. The Raiman learns just the opposite in Teres Kwan Metzalai was included before Minayin Sheinu Chayiv Loi Misa V'Loi Malkis Ela B'Shas Avoda V'Loi Ma'af Sha'ato V'Ovad Tamaloi Ma'ato V'Necho V'Voachem. Okay, so now, okay, I just Chagav. What we're going to do, Mitzvah will stop here. But the Mitzvah next week, I'm going to do Chazorah Bli Neder on many of the Mitzvahs. We'll see which ones we'll pick each week. And the purpose is the Mitzvah to publish a Sefer Bli Neder. Okay.